Oh, we're about to get very frustrated in this video. You ready? Hey Spuds, it's Jamie. Welcome back to another video, first video channel. I don't know, but welcome either way. My glasses are very dirty today. Not good. Today, we are going through the subreddit again of Confidently Incorrect. So this is basically where people are very self-assured. They're very arrogant. They're very confident in what they're saying, but they are in fact wrong. And this could be about a whole host of different things. Geography, language, maths, LGBT plus topics. Yay! So let's have a look at it, shall we? Are you ready? Wales is part of the British island, but they themselves are not British. They are their own country, part of the United Kingdom. What? That doesn't make sense. The two bits of their sentence also don't make sense. Wales is part of Great Britain, and therefore Welsh people are Welsh, but they're also British. Mate, a strong argument could be made that the Welsh are the only British people. I'm Scottish, and if you go back far enough, my ancestors were probably speaking Welsh. Titan boa, the biggest reptile ever that lived during the age of dinosaurs. Holy crapoli. Look at the size of that snake. Oh my god. Look at the scale of the humans next to the snake. To you, that snake sees you the same way we would see a mouse. Just a little snack. I don't eat mice. I'm just saying, if I did, very small.
Very small little snack.
And that is what we are to a Titan boa. Titan boa was a snake, not a reptile. Oh yes, confidently incorrect. I forgot what video I was making then. Dinosaurs didn't exist. Go read the Bible instead of making a fool of yourself. Snakes are reptiles. Dinosaurs did exist. There's significantly more evidence that dinosaurs existed than anything in the Bible being true, or a lot of the Bible. No. Personally, cannot fathom the concept of believing that an entire human being was made from a spare rib, but no, cannot possibly stretch as far as believing that dinosaurs were real, you know, the things where there are countless fossils of them. She may technically be correct if they never constipated the marriage. In some jurisdictions, a marriage isn't complete until that happens. Constipated. Constipated. That is one of the best word mess-ups I've ever heard. If they didn't constipate the marriage. It means intercourse after the wedding. Even if you had intercourse before you got married, many jurisdictions still have an odd law on the books that they just go in to describe what the word they meant means, not recognizing that the word they mean is not constipated.
Is your marriage constipated?
Here's some laxatives. Do you know what Trinity means? It basically means a solid group of people. A group of people that's solid. Yeah, they're not gases, they're not liquids, they're solid. It means three. Yeah, Trinity, tricycle, three. It could mean three. It could also mean 4, 5, 6. It's like triplets. Could mean 3 babies. Could also mean 4, 5, or 6. Or more. Just a solid number of babies. You're being sarcastic, right? The prefix tri means 3. Not always does the tri in the word field trip mean you are going on 3 field trips. Don't always believe prefixes. Wait until they see trans and cis. I don't think they're gonna like them. Just because it's the same 3 letters does not mean that in every context it's used, it's a prefix. It does feel satirical though, because the field trips example is so out there. No, trip means I pee 3 times. You're the one who's different. I'm normal. What? It's actually not an accent. The American is right. The neutral American accent is the original accent of the English language, so that is correct in this case. The American is normal. No. Isn't, like, America as we know relatively new? Okay, let's Google this though. Is the American accent the neutral accent of the English language? Is the American accent the true English accent? There was never a single true original English accent. It's an interesting thing to want to claim, especially because there's like British English, as in like people in England, like Britain as a whole, but then like also England and English, and there's American English. They are different. They have their differences. South Africa is a continent, bruh. Not a country. Now this one I don't need to Google. Are you sure about that? Yeah, are you sure? Are you sure? Have a good think. A good that maybe just me Google. Of course I'm sure, since he doesn't know whether it's a country or not. But If you're not sure, I'm going through a subreddit of Confidently Incorrect. I don't know if absolutely everything that's being called incorrect is incorrect. I will Google it. I will have a look. And if I'm still not sure, I'm not going to be like,
Actually, no, my belief trumps Google or my not being sure, so I'm just going to go with what I think.
if you say a statement, if you say South Africa is a continent, not a country, and somebody says, are you sure about that? You know, it might be a country and not a continent. I just feel like it's really typical to then just Google, even if you're really sure, just Google, is South Africa a country or a continent? And then you will have your answer, rather than doubling down when you clearly don't know. The standing starting disclaimer sentence you have to put onto everything with your opinion to wave off snowflakes. What? The standard starting disclaimer sentence you have to put onto everything with your opinion to wave off snowflakes. This just feels like the
Everything I say, I have to start with, it's just a joke, don't get offended. But the snowflakes, they still cry.
there is definitely a lot of work and improvements needed in the game. That's why it's a beta, not even an alpha, and definitely not a AAA title. Alpha is the stage before beta, because it goes the alpha, beta, and then we carry on. I don't know it personally. Also, apparently respecting other people's opinions makes you a snowflake now. They're wrong on multiple accounts. Okay, definition of alpha. A very quick Google of alpha stage of a game compared to beta stage, because they're clearly talking about games here. Alpha is basically the rough draft of your game. Probably a lot of bugs, parts you maybe forgot to anchor, stuff like that. Beta is a more polished draft of your game. You probably fixed those bugs and anchored those parts by this stage. It's why the whole thing of people going, oh,
Alpha males superiority, alphas are the best, alpha.
just because it's the first letter, like technically you're just saying you're the first draft of a man. You are the buggy, needs a lot of work, problematic stage of man. If you try to say,
I'm an alpha man.
betas are more polished, more refined, less buggy.
Hello, I'm interrupting for a very, very good reason. It's because I want you to say hello to Baby Pud. He's very cute. He has a little trans egg. He's yellow. Tiny Pud is available to buy until July 3rd this year. He is a limited edition. So if you do want one, go click the link in the description box or the pinned comment and head over to Makeship. And 10% of all sales of Little Pud are going to the Trevor Project, an amazing LGBTQ+ charity. I will now let you get back to the video. Thank you.
He is Scottish, not British. Oh, another one. You do realise Scotland is in Britain. Reddit doesn't know geography, lol. Tell him that. He gets offended by being called British, and that's not even true, LMAO. Stop embarrassing yourself. I don't know who they're talking about, but I think this is a misunderstanding of people, including people who live in Britain, that you can be both like English and British, Scottish and British, Welsh and British. Often when doing like forms about like where you're from and like citizenship and things like that, it's British or United Kingdom that comes up. Very rarely is it like England, Scotland, Wales. So my family is Scottish, my heritage is Scottish. Both my parents were born there, my grandparents were there and everything. I mean, as far as I'm aware, but we're also British. Like when I fill out forms and stuff, I'm not like Scottish, it's British. The book is called The Song of Ice and Fire. Game of Thrones isn't a book, you OnlyFans. Why are they insulting somebody over like a disagreement about a book? I have the first 4 books in the series, and the first one is A Game of Thrones, and then there's one that's like A Feast of Crows or 4 Crows. I can't remember off the top of my head. Like, they're not called The Song of Ice and Fire. There is no book called The Song of Ice and Fire. The book series collectively is entitled A Song of Ice and Fire, not but there is no book that shares this title. The first book within the series is entitled A Game of Thrones. Good job proving that you also did not read the books. How you managed to get so much wrong and still hurl an insult is beyond me. It's just embarrassing at this point. How much do you think a person should be ideally saving out of a monthly paycheck? Enough to take a class to learn how to spell right. It is Paycheck. A paycheck, also spelled paycheck, or paycheck. That's funny to say verbally. Is traditionally a paper document, a check. I mean, I think I just say payslip or something, but I've always spelled check. CHEQUE. So I would assume that that was a correct spelling of it. That, see, technically, confidently arrogant, like in thinking that their way is the only right way, but they're technically not wrong. They're mean and they've been rude, but they also spelt it correctly. It's just there's multiple spellings, but could have been nicer about it. Hashtag Assassin's Creed Odyssey lets you be as gay as you want. That sounds fun. This takes place in ancient Greece, right? The Greeks followed religious doctrine, so they would kill somebody for being gay. Therefore, if this series, which prides itself in its historical realism, apart from characters having an impact, is gonna add this. It's wrong. Lol, you think ancient Greece wasn't gay? I know ancient Greece followed Christianity. It was really gay, right? Like all the artwork is really gay, and they were really gay, and there's lots of gay stuff happening in ancient Greece. And also, I know they were all like, prides itself on its historical realism. Even if it wasn't gay, why can't we add in a little bit of gay? Doesn't need to be that realistic. But also ancient Greece was very gay. It will be roughly 800 years till another month has 5 Sundays, Mondays and Tuesdays in it. That sounds like a really, really long time for something not that special. March 2020, just 3 months from now, will have 5 each of Sunday, Monday and Tuesday, as will August 2021. It happens every time a month with 31 days starts on a Sunday. December will start on a Sunday in 2024 and will have 5 Sundays, Mondays and Tuesdays. Oh, we have one to look forward to this year. We don't all have to live to be nearly 1,000 to see that. Exactly. The fact they are all called theories means there are no facts to back them up. The theory of evolution, the Big Bang Theory, Estetera. What? Okay. I mean, that's wrong on the end. There can be a lot of evidence for theories. I wonder if they've gotten confused between the concept of a theory and a hypothesis, because a hypothesis is something to test and like gather evidence for, although often we do that multiple times with the same or very similar hypotheses. But a theory, like evolution has evidence, Big Bang has evidence. Isn't it like Pythagoras's theorem or something? Gravity is a theory. There's evidence for gravity. Jump and you'll see it. I've been taking unpasteurized milk all my life. Taking unpasteurized, like it's a medicine. Never had food poisoning. I boil. You boil the milk and use within 24 hours after it's taken from the cow. I don't take it raw, by the way. Isn't unpasteurized milk raw milk? How to pasteurize milk? Pasteurization is heating milk. No? Or it's at least doing some of what you need to do to pasteurize it. Because I thought like unpasteurized milk would be raw. I'm so confused because unpasteurized milk is raw milk, but they're saying they don't take the milk raw, so they don't have pasteurized milk and they boil it. And I think that's not fully pasteurization, but it's at least a good chunk of it. So it's like Schrodinger's milk. It's neither pasteurized nor unpasteurized. Although I guess maybe you could consider it pasteurized if it's been boiled for long enough. I don't know. You are not having milk in its purest form, okay? It needs to be raw, straight out of the udder, covered in cow poo. Or you're not doing it right. That just sounds disgusting. And yet they cannot forecast the weather for next week. So why don't I believe the doomsters? Weather and climate are different. When an MFer doesn't know the difference between weather and climate, lol, there is no real difference. Climate is just weather writ large. Weather's like short term, right? Transient, whereas climate is a more long term, what the climate of a country is like, blah, 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 like general trends and patterns. There is a difference. The sun used to be orange all the time when I was younger. Now it's suddenly changed to white. This proves that physics is wrong. How? When was the sun ever orange? The sun is different colors, like depending on the time of day, right? Like it can be more orangey, it can glow. But really, we shouldn't be looking at the sun in the sky long enough to gather a real sense of what color it is. It's just bright. That's the color of the sun, bright. I'm a Gen Xer and everyone my age remembers the sun being orange all day. About 15 years ago, the sun turned white. Now, I was a teenager 15 years ago. I don't remember this. I feel like this would have made the news. As kids, we drew the sun using an orange crayon. It was always yellow. Sunshine yellow. It's not sunshine orange. I even asked my husband, who is the same age as me, what color the sun used to be, and he said it's orange. When you see those close-up images of the sun, it's like orangey and very, very hot looking. The LED fake sun we see now is blinding to look at, whereas the original sun wasn't. This is very much
Back in my day, you could stare right at the sun and your eyes would be fine. Now it blinds you. There's something wrong.
so weird. I don't know how scientists have replaced the sun. They haven't. But the sun we're seeing now isn't real, and I hate how young people are acting like it's normal. We've lived in the same rural area of England since we were born. It's not pollution. The colour of the sun has changed from orange to white. I even asked on TikTok what colour the sun used to be, and everyone said it used to be orange. Each country has its own separate sun. What context does that bear on the rest of the paragraph? That is so wrong. All of this is very bizarre, and then just putting that at the end destroyed any funny, I mean, not that this really had a hope of credibility in the first place, but it was like building up. It was like,
I've seen it. My husband's seen it. TikTok has seen it. Every sun has a different planet.
every sun has, it's getting to me. Every planet.
Every country.
Has its own sun. Just because there are different words for sun in different languages doesn't mean there are different suns. They were so incredibly confident on that. Do you even know what gay or trans is? Gay simply means a XY being without the hormones of a male. Transgender is someone who doesn't feel fit in their current body. Being trans is haram, not gay. I'm so confused by this. Why did I do this subreddit? I hate it. See, the trans description is like, is not a quite right description, and there's nothing wrong with being trans. That is a very wrong part of this statement. But it's not as wrong as the description of being gay. Gay simply means that XY, like chromosomes, being without the hormones of a male. So being gay is not having testosterone. In their viewpoint, I feel like they would only be talking about cis men, and gay cis men are just men without testosterone. Gotta remember, the game basically just came out early access. More gear is most likely on the way in future updates. 2. Hard to trust someone who doesn't know 3rd grade English. They use 2 correctly. And I have Googled this to make sure I'm saying it correctly. You know the context of when to use things, but you can't really like vocalize exactly what it means. 2 with 2 O's is used in replace of things like as well as or additionally. It's an adverb. 2 with 1 O means like towards, or like that indicate a directional thing. The OP has used 2 correctly, and then the correction is incorrect. And then just insulting. Hard to trust someone who doesn't know 3rd grade English. Well, I guess we shouldn't trust you then. Deaths of children under 1 year in Chihuahua, Mexico, 947. Links to death stats for the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. Oh yeah, for someone who said a Cocker Spaniel couldn't kill a child, Chihuahuas have 1,000 deaths in 2015 for children. Link to tiny dogs killing children. You couldn't be that naive, could you? And they've linked to a place called Chihuahua in Mexico. Brilliant. There is a definition of the word death under here. Death, permanent disappearance of all evidence of life at some time after live birth, suspension of vital functions after birth without the possibility of resurrecting. I've never thought of death as a word to be defined. It's always felt so philosophical in its meaning, and to read it having like a solid definition. Obviously it has one, but it's just weird. It feels bizarre. Burglarize, that's not a word. Yes, it is. Oh, someone replied with the dictionary definition. Burglarize. Past tense, burglarized. Enter a building illegally with intent to commit a crime, especially theft. In America it's a word, but in proper British English it is not a word. Did they just double down and be like,
Fine, it's just Americans then.
that still means it's a word. Just because it's a different language, or it's a different spelling, or it's a different part of the world that speaks the same language but in a slightly different way, doesn't mean it's not a real word. Wait, 3:15 isn't 3:25? But 25 is a quarter. Oh babe, somebody missed the lesson on fractions. It is not always just out of 100, and then there's also not 100 minutes, so obviously 3:15 isn't 3:15, it would be 3:25. I can't tell if you're joking. I'm not. A quarter is 25, that's why a quarter is 25 cents. That's because we deal with currency by like the hundred, so you know, like there's 100 cents in a dollar, like 100 pennies in a pound kind of vibe. So that's why quarter being 25 is a quarter of a dollar. If $1 were made up of 60 cents, then a quarter would be 15 cents, because it's a quarter of the whole. It's not just a quarter of 100. So like you can have a quarter of 3, you can have a quarter of 10, you can have a quarter of 25. It's not always 100. I think this person's just obviously gotten stuck on the idea that it's always out of 100. My mathematical capability may not be that great, but even I can say quite confidently that 2% of the UK population does not equate to 1 in 50. You double it, you double both, so you've got 2 in 100. 2%. Ta-da! Why is the community so divided like this? I'll never understand why people are like this. Aren't gay folks supposed to accept everyone? Why are trans being excluded? Makes no sense to me why there's transphobia within the LGBT plus community. Very simple. LGB aren't involved with the debate over sexuality. Excuse me. I think that's very offensive to the LGBT plus people. I mean, they're dropping the T here, who had to, to fight for rights. because they weren't straight. They are fine with the sex they were born with. If they're cis, they wanted their relationships recognized and legalized. That's the difference. Not everyone wants to be involved and you can't force them. LMFAO, LGB aren't about sexuality, lol. What? That is just, no, my brain is too fried to carry on tonight. That was too much. Too much. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought down below. And also, have you ever been confidently incorrect about something later to learn that you were perhaps indeed incorrect? I used to pronounce the word perhaps, and I thought that's how it was spelled. And then I googled and realized I was wrong. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Think about giving a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. And as always, I will see you next time. Much love. Goodbye.